Well, the music background is actually I never studied music, and my music background comes from somewhere. It just it's always been with me, and I just started playing late when I laid hands on an instrument which is percussion drums when I was 23 years old for the first time, and it was actually here in Santa Cruz. And of course, I started to, being a percussionist drummer, I started to play Latin music and Latin influence and African infused music with my own style, because I never really studied with anybody. I knew I could play, so I just started to play, and then I expanded to different style of music, and I got involved here in Santa Cruz in the early 80s with the band that we played our heart off. The way we started to play, compose music was just getting together, turn the lights off, set up ourselves in a circle, and one would start and a groove, and then we build on it, and that's how the songs were built.
I started playing music probably upon birth. I don't know. Rhythm has been my interest too, always. I started playing drums and piano. I really wanted to play drums. My parents weren't really hip on that idea. It's a little loud for people, generally. But I kept pounding on things, playing on things, on books, on tables. My first drum set was a bunch of rubber trash cans. And then when I got my first drum kit with a bass drum and everything, I ended up not playing the bass at all. I was used to just hitting them with sticks. Someone came up and said, "I think you're supposed to be doing something with that one down there." In the meantime, I took piano lessons probably from 7 to 12 years old. And I'm very rhythmic oriented in my piano playing and in my drumming. And I played for about 20 years. I played a lot for dance classes in Santa Cruz at UCSC, Cabrillo, downtown. And I've composed and recorded music for a lot of dancers and for some video and film as well, and put out some CDs. And continually working on producing shows and collaborating with people. And I've been involved with Trey with the Immersion Composers Society too, which is kind of a quick cut through everything and compose, and that's been extraordinary as well.
I think I started, well actually my dad is a musician and was playing guitar to me while I was in the womb, so even before birth I was into it. I think record player was the first instrument I played, just grabbing the platter and turning it on it with the needle engaged, and I was just fascinated by that, but then became enamored with string instruments, and kind of grew up with guitars and basses and banjos and all kinds of things around me, and I started playing guitar when I was about 11, and then got into playing Chapman stick when I was about 16. I got a Chapman stick, and it's kind of a bizarre instrument that's got many strings, and it's played in an unconventional style, and somehow that was like a passport to playing all sorts of experimental weirdness, and also was connected with a band called King Crimson.
Very early in my life, my sense of chords and chord changes and the emotional impact of music on me, on my physiology, was born. I did study music in school. I attended UC Santa Barbara, got a bachelor's degree in vocal music, and during that time I was in choral groups which traveled to Western Europe twice, going to the birthplaces of many of the composers that we studied in classical music. But all during that time, which was in the 60s and 70s, there was this wonderful music emerging on the pop music scene. And I truly wanted to be part of that, but just never found a way. And that's what makes me grateful to be here at the Tannery and be in Santa Cruz, which I think is truly, one of the next future places for music to to be blended through all the styles. All the musicians are here, and have a scene emerge like they've had in Seattle or say down in Los Angeles.
There's a recording studio called Polymorph in Oakland that was recently given their notice, and they've been around for 20 years, making some of the most interesting music ever, in my opinion, but I think many people's opinion. And what I know about that place is that it was a nexus for like innovation and really recording and live performance. And I took a little sojourn there about 10 years ago and recognized what is the center of a musical community. Put it out in the world, go on tour,
Right.
And then
Yep.
That's what I
come back
envision here, and art more than me. It's like, of course, for the Tannery here, it's like an hub for musicians to thrive, young musicians, any musician, but to have a place where there is something where you can demonstrate your skills and where connect with other musicians, create and expand your knowledge, and so the Tannery here is in Santa Cruz. I think we're very lucky. It's just something that we have to work on harder.
And I certainly would like to be part of bringing that energy here to the
Yes.
Tannery and making this a center for, a hub sort of like Austin is for the music industry. My gosh, there's so much talent here in
Yes,
the Santa Cruz area, and
huge
we're just
potential.
over the hill from a major population center, Silicon Valley.
I meet so many musicians here that are doing really different things, and I would hope that there would be more support for experimental and local musicians and for smaller shows. And it's great that we have these venues where bands like Green Day can play, but there's been sort of a cutout of the middle range of venues in
Right.
the past 10 years. Places like the Cayuga Vault have closed. So there's very small venues and very large venues, and it's a little expensive actually to book a place now. So I'd like to see more money and space available at the Tannery, but also downtown where people are walking around and hanging out. I'm hearing too that just the permitting process of having live music is a little cumbersome, or a lot cumbersome, and has closed down places and closed down shows.
It's a different perspective. Being myself from another country, it's like, for me, maybe some musicians don't realize, but the great thing about being in this area, California in general, but this area now in particular, is like, for example, 3 days ago I played, with John Baez. My sister used to play all her songs when she was 15 with her, and I went to her and I said, "Hey, if I tell my sister that I play with you, she go crazy." And she said, "Hey, I want you to say, from me, that I say hi to her."
If I had been able to sign up at a college that had a program where I could learn to play electric guitar and electric bass and sound and lights and understand the economics of how to put a band together, I would have done that in my 20s instead of starting a group in my 30s. And that's something I'd like to have here too, is to bring in artists like Joan Baez, who've been down that road before and would be able to give advice to up and coming musicians as to how to really make a living playing music and avoid some of the pitfalls that I'm sure she went through, and a lot of other people I've had a chance to talk to have gone through too.
The fact is, music only happens because musicians can effectively do what they do and innovate as well.
Right.
So that, not just getting a theoretical education.
I just want to mention too that I do a radio show on Free Radio Santa Cruz, and I've been doing that for 15 years. And we are the community-based, commercial-free station locally that always has local musicians on, and it's a great venue to announce events and to perform live too locally on the radio.